It's pretty impressive. Bill Jones, let's go to him. He's with sports and sitting with somebody who some of our viewers may recognize.
Yes, that's right. By the way, Orville Rogers there, my dad grew up in his neighborhood in Okemah, Oklahoma. Not quite. Now, he passed away 14 years ago, my dad did. But he wouldn't be quite 100 years old, but they were sort of classmates. So there's that. And now we welcome in Babe Laufenberg. This is not the Sunday night show formerly known as The Score with Babe Laufenberg. We have the entertainer formerly known as CBS 11's Babe Laufenberg.
And you know what I like about that, Bill?
What
I don't have to wear a tie.
You don't. That's
Come
right.
in any way I want.
Yes,
You know, when they don't pay you, you dress like you like to.
Does the place look any different to you?
It looks better because I love your tie. You know I love that tie.
I wore this tie especially for you because you made a comment back during football season that you like this tie.
And what did I say when I walked in today?
I like your tie. That's right. All right, we got much to get to with Babe today, and we're going to give an update on Luke coming up a little bit later, too. A lot of you are wondering about Babe's son, Luke, who, of course, is battling leukemia. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. So we're going to save the best for last. Now, of course, is Luke. Let's talk Cowboys, though, off the top here. No moves in free agency so far, with the exception of one little move. They signed DeMarcus Lawrence to a $17 million franchise tag.
Yeah, but we don't count that, do we? I mean, he was already here. We want to see new folks.
That's right.
The interesting thing to me is, Bill, they say the talent acquisition in the NFL is a 365-day proposition, minus for the Cowboys when free agency starts to the time where they get all the second and third tier players, right?
That's right. Anthony Hitchens signs, it was $45 million over 5 years, $9 million a year. Orlando Scandrick, by the way, talking to the Redskins after he officially will be cut tomorrow. That defense, the linebacker position especially, the loss of Anthony Hitchens, Sean Lee called him the most underrated player, a linebacker in the league, in fact.
Well, the thing about Anthony Hitchens, two things. One, good player. Two, good person. Three, though, his versatility. You know, Sean Lee, you know he's not going to play 16 games, right? So he switches over. He can play the weak side, play Sean Lee's position, let Sean get healthy for those 2 or 3 weeks, which we know he's going to miss. He sits there, he plays the mic. I'm not convinced that Jalen Smith is going to be, I know he's going to be your starting middle linebacker, but I just don't know if he's ready. You know, very stiff last year, great story, all that, coming back from the severe, gruesome knee injury that he had. But I'm just not so sure that linebacking core across the board is ready to play the NFL.
Of course, the Cowboys don't have any money to spend in free agency. There are some rumors out there, though. Obviously, it sounds like Seattle is stripping down their team, especially their defense, shopping Earl Thomas. What would an Earl Thomas mean to this Dallas defense?
Oh, he'd be great. I mean, he's a fantastic player. He, to me, is the one that really made that Seattle defense go. I thought you could take away the other guys, and they can still function. You take away Earl Thomas, and a totally different story. Now, he came up, we saw this, he came up to Jason Garrett and said, come get me, which is very odd. You might see that, Bill, in a situation in a stadium where both teams go through the same tunnel.
Right.
They're on opposite ends of the field. So he had to hunt Jason
He went all the way
down
in the Cowboys locker room.
Yeah. One thing I will say about the free agency, I know fans get a little upset to the point of maybe being distraught. It's all the big names that are out there. And a great example of that's probably Jordy Nelson, right? Why didn't we get Jordy Nelson? Well, he's going to be 33. He's coming off a severe knee injury 2 years ago. You don't know that he is the Jordy Nelson that y'all kind of think about. The other part of that is the reason you like those people is because you know who they are, right? We know Jordy Nelson, and it's a big name, but he's a big name because he's been in the league a long time. So consequently, these guys are getting big money deals later in their careers, and the Cowboys just want to stay away from that. And I'm not so sure that's not the way you go about it.
All right,
I think the Cowboys are doing it.
We're just getting started here with Babe. Up next, we discuss another name you know. That would be Dez. And will the Cowboys be with or without Dez? Next.
It's weighted more toward freshness and newness than it is continuity, and I like it. I was not for a total coaching change, yet at the same time, it really opens it up to a lot of new ideas.
Jerry likes the 10 changes on the Cowboys coaching staff, but they do leave the offensive and defensive coordinators in place and the head coach too, Babe Laufenberg. How hot is the coaching seat of Jason Garrett in 2018?
Let me first say, I think Jerry Jones really does a good job in terms of supporting his head coach. He did it with Wade Phillips here. Wade fired himself. Wade went 1-7, took a team to Green Bay that was totally disinterested. Cowboys got blown out. You couldn't sell that anymore. So Jerry isn't the type to say he's got to do this or he's gone. But I think everybody knows, right? 7 years, 1 playoff win. He's on the hot seat. Jason Garrett knows it. I don't see how you sell it to your fan base if you don't sit there and go to the playoffs again.
How about this little coaching comparison, though? John Gruden now with the Oakland Raiders. Of course, his last 5 years with Tampa Bay. Look at these numbers right here, comparing them with Jason Garrett's last 5 years in Dallas.
This is what I love about our world, Bill Jones, the world we live in sports. Okay, there's John Gruden. They're giving him the key to the city in Oakland. He can run for mayor. They want to give him ownership of the team. There it is. Those were his last 5 years in the league. He was 4 games under 500. Jason Garrett needs to be fired here, right? Well, he's 12 games over 500. Jason's won a playoff game. Gruden hasn't. I understand Gruden won a Super Bowl, but he won it, remember, with Tony Dungy's
And looking at that graphic there, you can see why John Gruden looks so sad and Jason Garrett looks so happy, right? Although Cowboys fans aren't really happy right now.
You look at the offenses, right? Gruden, the offensive girl.
Let's get into the creativity, so to speak, of this Cowboys offense. Undergoing, that's the buzzword now, after we see in the Super Bowl some passes, throwback passes to the quarterback and stuff like that. What about the creativity of Scott Linehan and Jason Garrett?
Well, I go back to this. If you look at it, Bill, in 2014, the Cowboys were the first team in NFL history to have the leading passer, the leading rusher, and the leading receiver in terms of touchdowns. Never happened before in NFL history. That was 2014. 2016, this offense took a 4th-round quarterback, won 13 games, had the best record in the NFC. Now, do you take that and just throw it all out the window? Obviously, you always are making tweaks and changes and trying to improve. Every team does that. But the notion that somehow this offense can't function in today's NFL, to me, it's flat wrong. Here's the problem. Zeke Elliott went from 5.1 yards a carry to 4.1. He was a full yard per carry less than his rookie season. That's a problem.
And they didn't have him for 6 games during the season.
Well, that's another problem.
All right, how about Dez Bryant? Because there's been so much speculation in the last couple of months. What are the Cowboys going to do with Dez's big contract, $16.5 million salary cap hit? And they haven't done anything yet. What do you propose?
Well, I love this because this is strictly a case, like it is in any negotiation, of who blinks first. The Dallas Cowboys are going to tell Dez Bryant, look, we're going to cut your pay, but nobody's going to give you what we're about to give you. Dez Bryant is going to look at it and say, that's great, but, you know, look at what you have if I'm not on your football team. If they don't have Dez Bryant, they don't have anything at that wide receiver. You got Cole Beasley, good 3rd down player. You got Terrence Williams, good little 2nd or 3rd receiver. But this offense is stymied without Dez Bryant. If I'm Dez Bryant's agent, I would say, yeah, go ahead, cut me. Cut me. Do you see what you're going to trot out there?
Well, and then you look at free agency, and Sammy Watkins had 39 catches last year. And what did Dez have? Nearly 70 catches last year. And Sammy Watkins got $16 million a year from the Kansas City Chiefs in free agency. Well, so there you go.
But again, teams aren't going to have the money that they have now to pay Dez if the Cowboys release him. But again, if I'm Dez Bryant, I say, go ahead, release me. What are you going to do when you want to throw the ball down the field?
All right, the draft fast approaching. I got to get Babe's take on the quarterbacks in this draft. He was the one who said, look out for Johnny Manziel. Don't take Johnny Manziel. All right.
I even called the hierarchy at Cleveland and said don't, and then they did.
All right, so who's the top quarterback in this draft?
For me, it's Sam Darnold. And nobody's a slam dunk. I don't know if there's ever a slam dunk.
And you got some inside knowledge on Sam Darnold.
Well, I got an opportunity. I watched a lot of games because my son coached out there last year, so I watched a lot of SC play. And I got a chance to see him a couple times in person in practice, as I did Josh Rosen. Saw him in person a couple times in practice. I think Rosen is your best pure passer. That's probably not a revelation. But Sam Darnold's, to me, the kind of guy you can build your team around. I'll tell you who he reminds me of, though, Bill. He's Tony Romo. He is Tony Romo. He was a turnover machine, comparatively, for USC last year. Didn't hang on to the football when he got tackled. Threw it to teams that he shouldn't have. Tony Romo did the same thing early in his career. But Tony was very good at protecting the football after that. And I think Sam Darnold's the same kind of guy. Somebody's got to coach him and say, listen, when you're getting rushed and the pocket's collapsing, the ball doesn't come. We're not having a ball out here. We get it in tight, then we get out of that traffic, and we become a passer again. But to me, he is the guy. Baker Mayfield scares me, and Josh Allen I wouldn't get near.
Okay, and so we got 20 seconds here. Baker Mayfield, he's not Johnny Manziel, right?
He's got a little bit of that. He's got maturity issues. There's no doubt about that. And nothing will kill a quarterback or your football team faster than maturity issues. Now, he may go on to be a great player, but personally, I'm staying away.
All right, this has been a great opportunity for Babe to get away from the hospital. and of course, as you probably know, Luke, 20-year-old son of Babe, has been battling leukemia here for going on 3 months now. And I know there's been just an overwhelming outpouring of support.
Yeah,
right?
It's been great, including from my radio broadcast team. Christy Scales on the left of the screen there, Brad Sham, a Cowboys play-by-play man, of course. They came down a couple days ago. Christy brought donuts down, and I told Luke, you have got to get better because I don't have time to work out anymore, and I keep eating the donuts and cookies that people bring in for you. But he's doing great. He's fighting it. It's a tough cancer that he has. It's called Burkitt's leukemia. But I will say this. I've never used the word proud. I don't like pride. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. But I must say I'm proud of him for one reason. He's never said, why me? He has every right to say, why me? But he's asked me a lot of questions, but that's never been one of them. Now, when I get back tonight after the show, he'll say, oh, yeah, Dad, I've been meaning to ask you, why me? but I do want to thank everybody for the support, prayers. Everybody's been simply fantastic, and we'll get through this.
Yes, and while the thoughts and prayers out to Luke, and there's going to be a 30 for 30 on Luke Laufenberg when he comes back and he plays either tight end, wide receiver, whatever his weight will allow when he beats this thing. All right, Babe, we appreciate it. How about a hug, Babe? I never hug, Babe. There you go.
Thank you, Bill.
All right.
Even that hug. Look, I
got work to do, Babe. I got work to do. As we showed you earlier, Texas A&M and Texas Tech are headed for the Sweet 16, but as CBS 11 sports photojournalist Bill Ellis shows us, things weren't quite so sweet for the TCU Horned Frogs.